Hi, I'm Jamie-Lynn and welcome to Living With It, a 10-part series about what it means to keep going when life doesn't go according to plan. Through honest conversations with people who've experienced loss, illness, grief, and life's unexpected challenges, as well as experts who help us navigate them, we hope you'll leave each episode feeling inspired, understood, and a little less alone. The following message is brought to you by Novartis. Hi, I'm Jamie-Lynn Sigler. When it comes to relapsing MS treatments, your choice matters. That's why talking to your doctor about your options is a big deal. But how do you know what to ask? Figuring that out can be daunting. That's why I partnered with Novartis to create an MS treatment decision guide. It's packed with helpful info and questions for your doctor to help make an informed decision. Trust me. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. Download the guide right to your phone only at treatmentdecisionguide.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Living With It. Today's guest is one of the most experienced and sought-after meditation teachers in America. Bob Roth is the CEO of the David Lynch Foundation, and over the past 50 years, he has taught Transcendental Meditation to thousands of people. He is the author of the New York Times bestseller, Strength in Stillness, The Power of Transcendental Meditation. Please welcome to the show, Bob Roth. First and foremost, Bob, I just told you before off camera or off mic, I'm so grateful and so happy that you're here. I've been really looking forward to this conversation. So thank you for your time.
Well, Jamie, I'm very happy to be here, and my dear friend Allison spoke so highly of you, so I'm very happy to participate.
Well, we are so lucky to have her.
I love what you do. I love your heart. I love what you care about, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you. That means a lot. You know, one thing that we talk about a lot on this podcast is that everyone is carrying something. Chronic illness, grief, caregiving, anxiety, divorce, infertility, burnout. We spend so much time trying to fix ourselves, fix our thoughts, push through our lives. And you have spent 50 years studying something that is incredibly important for us all to understand, and that's the nervous system itself. You've taught everyone from veterans with PTSD to Fortune 100 CEOs, healthcare workers, students, trauma survivors, all of these people through Transcendental Meditation. So I'm so happy to have this conversation for so many reasons, but what I want to begin with is really understanding what happens inside us when stress becomes our normal, whether it's possible to come back from that. And what I've learned is that information about understanding what is actually happening to us, visualizing that, and believing that helps us stay consistent with meditation practices once we understand all of those things. Would you agree?
Beautifully put.
I'm glad. Okay, good.
Understanding just same thing. Understanding you're told, oh, don't eat this type of food. Don't eat refined foods. And you say, well, you're going to eat cavities. No, actually, what that does is it disrupts your gut microbiome. The bad, stuff, bacteria grows, feeds on that. And when you eat whole foods or you eat whole grains, then it's the opposite. So understanding then when you're about to eat something, it's not like, well, my mother told me not to eat Twinkies.
Right.
Now I know what's going on inside. So understanding the stress process and what it does to us is, I think, foundational to a regular meditation practice.
Yes.
So I'm agreeing with you, Jamie.
Great. I'm so glad we're off to a great start.
Right off the bat, right? Yeah.
You said something that I read that really stopped me, and that you don't think that people are exhausted because they're busy. You think they're busy because they're exhausted. Can you explain what that means?
Well, there's a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is our higher brain. It's about the size of your fist, and it's right behind your forehead, and that's executive functioning. This is where we make our decisions in life. This is where we make our decisions. And when we're stressed, and busy means if we're too busy and we're not getting enough rest and we're not giving our body the break and our brain the break that it needs, then the prefrontal cortex comes offline. there's a part of the brain also called the amygdala, which is your emotional center. And they talk about how the amygdala hijacks your brain so that something comes your way and immediately you're overreacting. Your buttons have been pushed, you've been triggered. And so you don't make the right decisions when you're too busy. And so I think what we want to do is so reframe your question and I'll take it to the next step.
Yeah. Well, because I just feel like what modern life, it feels, has done, because especially, our generations, we have a perspective of what it was like kind of before and after all of this technology. I find myself in moments of decision fatigue. It's so easy to feel like you are being productive with how quickly you can respond and how many pots you can have on the stove at one time. But I am finding myself, and I know so many other people, that I've started to feel like I'm surviving instead of actually living.
Because we're not making the right decisions. Our prefrontal cortex is offline. This is the rational filter against impulsive decisions. This is where, okay, I got to do this. And you said so many pots boiling and I got to get the kids and I got to do this. And from the minute we wake up till we go to bed at night, it's going, going, going. And there's a few points on that. One is, it turns out that the brain is most effective in 60 to 90 minute cycles, and then it needs a breather. It needs a break. Like I remember when I used to study even in high school, reading a history book, and it's at night, and you just, okay, I've looked at this page for 2 hours. I've got to be on the next page. Well, my brain is exhausted, and I need to give my brain a break. And so when it's a tired brain, then the prefrontal cortex is offline, the amygdala has hijacked the brain, and now I'm overreacting to everything. It points to the need for something like meditation. But in addition, there's something they've talked about now, and you can look it up. It's called hard thoughts and soft thinking. Hard thinking and soft thinking. Hard thinking is just what you're talking about. Point 1, 2, 3, 4, and I got to do this, and I got to go there, and I got to take care of that. And from the minute we wake up and we're looking at our computer screen, and then we have that, and what time, and I got 30 seconds. And hard thinking, it exhausts the brain. And there used to be a natural balance, a natural flow, which they call soft thinking. And soft thinking is not zeroing in on one thing, but you're like landscape. Like nature is a perfect example of soft thinking, where you're looking at a beautiful view. You're not sort of zeroing in on that leaf, on that tree across the valley. And they say that the soft thinking aids in the recovery of the brain. Again, looking to meditation as well.
Yes.
So I think both of those things is all pointing to the realization from science that it's no good to just let the brain be tired, because then we make bad decisions. And also let the brain be tired. We have to give it that soft thinking. We have to give it that bigger vision. Does that make sense?
Yes. I just love the term soft thinking.
Isn't
I really
it nice?
feel like a
It's
calm
nice.
inside my body when you say that.
And it's the same thing if you're driving someplace, you get out of the car and you go with your partner or something, you go for a walk in the park, and all of a sudden you go, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one reason is first of all, there's a lot of healing value to being in nature. The Japanese call it forest bathing, which the doctors can prescribe, but you just feel better. And it's this, your brain shifts to that soft thinking.
That's
and
right.
It's essential. And we've lost our natural cyclical flow, because we do need to focus, but we also need to have those moments of expansion.
And to think, like you just said, that it's almost like our brains will naturally gravitate towards that soft thinking. All we have to do is just take the step to put ourselves in that environment.
That set up the conditions, and sometimes give it enough time, because whether it's you or a partner, they're like checking their phone. You're on this beautiful view someplace, and then after a day or two, they decompress.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh, okay, I don't need to check my phone 38 times this hour.
Right.
But that's just because that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, is on hyperdrive. And we need to give it that transition to what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. And that's a meditative state, that's soft thinking, that's just rejuvenation. It's all those things.
How does somebody know that their nervous system has been stuck in that fight or flight or survival mode for some time?
Well, it's on two levels. One, we intuitively can know. We say, oh, I'm not sleeping well. I'm not digesting well. I used to bounce back from someone would say something or something would happen. I'd bounce back faster. I'm sure we have that. But then there's another level where, and then sometimes people will tell us, but we usually get annoyed if they say something like, Bob, you really got to calm down. Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Don't
you're
tell me.
reactive.
No,
Right.
I'd love to calm down. If you would do a little more work, then I could calm down. One of those
Right.
things. But it often isn't until you get to go away someplace. I live in Manhattan and 33rd and Madison, which is the epicenter of all the noise in the city.
Oh, yeah.
And I went out to a place called Fire Island. Friends of mine brought me out to Fire Island, where they don't have cars. It's near. I just came back. I've got a suntan from being there.
You look great and
Yeah,
rested.
it's just Fire Island. But you take a ferry out there. There's no cars. Just get around on bicycles. It's not the hype of the Hamptons. And it took me and I meditate, and it took me like a day to go, oh man, this is great. Whew, I needed this.
Yeah.
So I think the answer to your question is we objectively know it because we're not sleeping and because, our blood pressure's up or we're on antidepressant medication. We know it because intuitively we feel we're not on, we're a little bit off. Other people may mention things. And then when we have a contrast, when we do finally get to go someplace and go, oh man, that's a relief.
Yeah. I'm at that point myself right now. I actually had a discussion with my husband last night where I was like, I just feel like something has to change. And I have fallen off my regular meditation practice. And this is my sign. I can't keep up with the pace that I've been going at. And so if what I was trying to basically articulate and communicate was my body and my nervous system is communicating with me that something has to change. It's just more that I'm not giving myself a break.
You just said a thing, your body's telling me. And there's a term, I don't know if you've ever, interoception. Interoception. So interoception means the language your body speaks to tell you what's going on internally. Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I'm sleepy. Or, oh, that hurt my feelings. My heart hurts. Or, oh, I'm anxious about something that's coming up. I feel nervousness. Or, oh, I'm angry. That's called interoception. And what we find, and there's a lot of meditative practices that are used, body awareness. And that body awareness is to allow your mind and let your mind rest with that sensation in your body. Because it's really your body saying, I'm tired. Your body saying, I really need to pee. Your body saying, I'm really upset about what just happened. And so you let your mind, but you can live in your mind about it. But if you just let your mind rest on that area in the body, it actually helps to soothe that. It helps to resolve it and calm you down. I often think about at night, you're upset about something and you say something to someone you love, very real. And then you go to sleep and you get a good night's sleep. And the next morning you go, oops.
Yeah. I mean, 1 week a month, every year, every month for me.
Yeah. No, that oops.
Yeah.
And that it's just the rest. It's not that anything changed, but my perception of it and that stress level of it. So body awareness, giving your body rest, meditation. I used to say that for many people, meditation's a luxury. They don't have the time for it. They got things to do. And some people who have the wealth or the time, they're retired, they can do it. Not the case anymore.
Yeah.
This is now essential for everyone. It's not, as this one person said to their husband, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. You don't have a few minutes morning and afternoon to meditate?
That brings me to my next question, because now I want to get into transcendental meditation, because I think a lot of people do hear the word meditation and immediately think whether I don't have time for it, or I'm bad at it, or I can't clear my mind. All of these kind of almost misconceptions about meditation and about how the effort that it would take. So first and foremost, to talk about that information, can you explain what TM actually is?
Yes. And in doing that, I'd like to put it in the context of what science tells us about the neuroscience of meditation. And it turns out there's not one generic meditation, like there's not one generic medicine or vitamin or exercise. There's not one generic or diet. There's a lot of nuances there. And some diets are good or some medicines are good, some of them are not. So in the realm of meditation, there's a lot of hype out there. But according to research on the brain, and the reason why they say the brain is because we know from the brain every discrete experience we have subjectively impacts the brain in a discrete way. So if I listen to classical music, it has one effect on my brain. If I listen to heavy metal music, it has another effect on my brain. If I watch a romantic comedy, one effect on my brain. If I watch a David Lynch film, another effect on my brain. So they had all these people do all these meditations over time, and you strip away the sloganing and all that and say, what's going on in the brain? There's 3 basic types of meditation. And I use the analogy, okay, if I go into this, right? I know you wanted me to talk about TM, but...
That's okay. Please talk about it all.
So do a cross-section of the ocean where you have choppy waves on the surface, and then there's a vertical dimension, and then there's quiet at its depth. So we use that as an analogy for the mind. And the surface of the mind, some people call the monkey mind. This thinking. I don't like to call it the monkey mind. I like to call it the gotta mind. I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to call him, and I got to call her, and I got to make a list, and I got to find the list, and I got to make a new list. And I got to slow down. I got to get going.
I'm exhausted already.
I know, and I'm just starting. So
right.
So we have that, and it's a natural, Jamie. It's a natural human desire to say, I'd like some inner calm, some inner equanimity, some inner, just a break, just a break from the noise. And the operative word there is inner. And the question is there such a thing as an inner? And if so, how do you get there? So enter the realm of meditation. And using brain research, they've come up with 3 basic distinct types of meditation. One is called, so when people say to me, well, how is transcendental meditation different from just regular old meditation? So here's what science says. First type of meditation is called focused attention. Focused attention is just focused, it's concentration, controlling the mind. The ocean analogy is, if you want to have a calm ocean, what disrupts a calm ocean? Waves. If you could stop waves, you'd have a calm ocean. Like that, if you want to have a calm mind, what disrupts a calm mind? Thoughts. If you could stop thoughts or minimize thoughts or clear your mind of thoughts, you'd have a calm mind. In principle, fine. Acknowledged by people who teach it, very difficult to do that. And that's what frustrates a lot of people about meditation. But when I do that type of focused attention, it creates something called gamma brain waves. Gamma brain waves are 20 to 50 cycles per second. It's where your brain is really working hard. Second approach, open monitoring. Open monitoring is different in that it says thoughts are not the disruptor of calm, but the content of thoughts can be a disruptor of calm. So if I have a thought about a guy named Joe, and I don't really know anybody named Joe, it doesn't disrupt anything. But if I have a thought about Joe and he really did me wrong 2 years ago and it's not resolved, open monitoring teaches me to, here's the key words, dispassionately observe my thoughts, my moods, my feelings. Don't be 2 years back. Be now. Whatever thought comes up, witness it. Have a distance. Don't be identified with it. So that live in the moment.
So it's not about stopping the thoughts.
No, it's about observing your thoughts. That's called open monitoring. There's many mindfulness meditation approaches that are like this. When I do that, it creates something called theta brainwaves. Those are 4 to 8 cycles per second. Very similar to dream state, because you're just sort of thinking about thoughts and it's not clearing anything. It's a cognitive process. And the third, and now I'm going to finally answer your question 2 hours later. And that is,
We have all the time.
yeah, it's called self-transcending. And what self-transcending and TM is part of, what it perspective is, yes, waves are a part of the ocean. Yes, thoughts are a part of the mind. Sometimes more turbulent, sometimes less turbulent, but there's a vertical dimension to the mind. And in Transcendental Meditation, we hypothesize that deep within every human being, every one of us right now, you, me, kids, husband, partner, everyone, everywhere, deep within everyone right now, there's a level where your mind is already settled and peaceful and calm and wide awake. We have just lost access to it. We don't have to believe in it. We don't have to visualize it. We don't have to force it. It's there. We just have lost access to it. And Transcendental Meditation, transcend means to settle down. Transcendental Meditation just allows your active thinking mind to just begin to experience deeper, quieter, more subtle levels of the mind and experience that inner silence, inner stillness. And when that happens, Jamie, because you could say, yeah, Bob, that's poetic, but where's the proof? When that happens, it's a completely different EEG brainwave signature, something called alpha 1, where your brain is settled but wide awake. Cortisol levels, which are a stress hormone. You get a good night's sleep, cortisol drops 10%. 20 minutes of TM, cortisol levels drop 30 to 40%. I could go on, but basically to explain that, and I can go more detail later, it's just not trying to create calm here against the waves, access where the mind is already calm. And the lovely thing about TM is you don't have to believe in it for it to work. So you have a skeptical friend or partner, and they say, well, I don't believe in that stuff. It's irrelevant. It's like saying, I don't believe in gravity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess how long
That was
ago
a long
it?
answer. But
No, this is what a podcast is for.
Okay.
I want all the long answers.
Okay.
I had a transcendental meditation teacher come to my home, and we did our first meditation together. And I very much, what happened to me is sort of what you were describing. I felt like it's not like I changed what was going on up here. It was, I dropped in to a state. And I was first and foremost so surprised at how much easier it was than I anticipated. I was going into it feeling like I'm going to fail. I already had decided.
I did too. When I learned.
You did? All right, good to know. But I remember telling the teacher when I came out of it that it was so interesting because she had instructed me to just witness the thoughts, like you said. And it's almost like my thoughts became the bottom of like a news station, like the ticker in the bottom of like, CNN or whatever, where they were there and I could look at them and acknowledge them if I wanted, but I also had the choice to kind of just let them exist and not pay attention. And it was such a relief that I wasn't necessarily missing or ignoring anything that maybe my brain was deeming important, but I gave myself just a reprieve from the noise.
And that's because you went from this level, like if you or someone you know is really stressed, and then they're really upset and they're really thinking about something and they can't let it go and they're obsessed on it and rumination, and it's just like, and you can't even break through to them and say, it's okay, it's just that. That's that heated level of the mind. But then deeper levels, more quiet levels, more abstract, gentler, and more refined, just quieter. Thoughts are there, even the same thoughts, but they're not up here. I like to say this is where you go to a park and you see a little kid and you say, oh, that kid is a hothead. That kid is boiling over with rage. But we also have the term, cooler minds will prevail. Cool, calm, and collected. So that's the mind here. And in Transcendental Meditation, we just allow the thinking mind to just effortlessly, gently, naturally be drawn inward. We have a mantra. When you learn TM, your teacher, you have a certified teacher, it's very important. A certified teacher selects a sound for you. It's a vehicle and just allows the attention of the mind to be drawn inward, and your body gets this deep rest and your brain wakes up, all these connections. And I like to say, it's so kind, it's so gentle, it's so friendly, it's so human. It's not this competition and fight. And I always like that. I call TM the democratization of meditation. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe Eastern philosophy or even know Eastern philosophy or Western philosophy. You don't have to read the Stoics. You don't have to eat this diet or do that. Every human being, by virtue of being a human being, can access that restful alertness, that they call it pure consciousness, on their own.
I love that, because it's like, no matter your personality type, if you are a hothead or a tightly wound person, or someone like my husband that just can't help but ruminate and have, anxious thoughts about everything and decisions, we all have that calm state within us, and we all have access to it, regardless of who you may present yourself to be on a day-to-day basis.
Beautifully put. And that's one of the things that I love. I have the very good fortune to have worked with the late great filmmaker David Lynch with his foundation.
Yes.
And we brought the meditation for free to 1.5 million at-risk adults and children who are really suffering from trauma and toxic stress. And you meet some of these people who are just, maybe it's a mother whose son has died from gunshot in the, Ward 8 in Washington, D.C., or a guy, little Joey, who I taught to meditate when he was 12. He's 15. He was a nonverbal autistic spectrum disorder. And he was so anxious, and his mother was so worried for him. His father had died. And I taught him in the first week or so, Jamie, we meditated for 2 or 3 minutes and then increased it to 5 and then increased it to 10. And now he's meditating for 20 minutes twice a day, speaking a little better. But the main thing, his mother says, he's lost his anxiety.
Aww.
He's really, and he's enjoying his life.
What a gift. What a gift to give someone. My gosh. The following message is brought to you by Novartis. Hi, I'm Jamie-Lynn Sigler. When it comes to relapsing MS treatments, your choice matters. That's why talking to your doctor about your options is a big deal. But how do you know what to ask? Figuring that out can be daunting. That's why I partnered with Novartis to create an MS treatment decision guide. It's packed with helpful info and questions for your doctor to help make an informed decision. Trust me. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. Download the guide right to your phone, only at treatmentdecisionguide.com. You mentioned the mantra. Can you explain the role of it? Because I think people hear that word sometimes and think it's like, something spiritual or it's an affirmation. I know you touched on it briefly, but can you explain exactly what the mantra is and what it's doing?
Sure. Mantras just means, any word could be, any sound could be a mantra.
Right.
But in Transcendental Meditation, there's dozens and dozens of them, and they come from this ancient tradition, over 6,000-year-old tradition, predates Hinduism, predates Buddhism, predates all the isms. Wow. And in TM, it's a word or a sound, couple of syllables that have no meaning associated with it. Because Jamie, if the sound had a meaning,
right,
then you're caught up here. Your intellect is caught up here.
Yep.
Your prefrontal cortex is going. Your hippocampus is. Everything's active.
Right.
We just using it for the sound value, the frequency value, and it's soothing. It's nice. And then so teacher gives you. And the thing is what reason why we have that is because the mind wants to think. To say, okay, stop thinking, it's like telling you, then we're dead. It's like telling your body to stop functioning, to stop breathing, to stop metabolizing. You can rest your body, you can go from this to this, but there's still going to be some activity. So in TM, we use the mantra as a thought to think, because we want to think, and then we're taught by a teacher how to use it in such an effortless way that it allows the attention of the mind to turn within, and just like a dive, to just be drawn inward, to settle down. And other thoughts come and go, and the mantra comes and goes. And I remember talking to this one person about this, the Wall Street guy. And I said, TM allows your mind with a mantra to settle down to quieter levels of thought. And he said, what are you talking about? What is a quieter level of thought? And I said, you're an investor. He said, yeah. You use your intuition. He said, yeah. Somebody comes up to you and they say, I got 3 reasons why you should do something. And it makes good sense. And you say to yourself, and you say to him, okay, yes. And then you go home that night and you think about it in the quiet of your home. And all of a sudden you think, I don't think so. And the guy says, why? And he said, it doesn't feel right. You ever have that? It doesn't feel right. That's a quieter level of the mind. And the whole purpose here of TM is set up the conditions to experience that quietest level of the mind.
So you can access that sort of decision making
with a mantra that's used. And it's not used as a repetition.
Right.
It's not that. It's not to block out thoughts. It's to just ride the attention inward. And everyone can do it. Joey can do it. I teach I taught a 120-year-old woman to do it. And I taught, I teach 10-year-old kids to do it. And particularly I like it when people come in really skeptical. And
yes, I bet.
Great, bring it on. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
I'm skeptical, this is going to fall. Yeah.
Do you find that sometimes the more skeptical people have more, I don't want to say success, but like almost surrender even more because they weren't coming in with any pressure on themselves, more of just like no expectations?
It's a really good question. I could be one of those people because I'm my father's son. My father is a medical doctor and a researcher, and he was a World War II vet, and he was the world-class skeptic. And I find myself, I'm not a cynic. I would never get out of bed, but I like to, and I like big ideas, but I like it to be rooted in something real. And I was skeptical when I went in and I thought, all right, I'll do this for a minute. If I don't like it, I'll stop.
Yeah.
And it's I was an 18-year-old kid, and I was a tightly wound, know-it-all 18-year-old kid who could never be hypnotized and couldn't do the concentration form of meditation. And I tried it and I went, this is real. The experience was this settling down. I didn't know that my nervous system could take that deep rest at will. I didn't know it was possible. Never had been in my experience. Sometimes athletes talk about being in the zone or the flow state where everything quiets down and yet they're really dynamic. So that's an expression. Meditation actually, athletes who meditate find that they have the flow state more often in playing sports.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One last question about the mantra. Why are you never supposed to tell anyone what your mantra is?
I was waiting for that question. The reason is, if a person wants to learn transcendental meditation, and they're serious about learning transcendental meditation, then they get a mantra, and then that takes about 10 minutes. TM is taught over 4 consecutive days, about 1 hour a day over each day. And you learn it on the first day. So your teacher gives you a mantra, and then you learn how to do it. But then you come back 3 more days, or you meet 3 more days to answer questions, to go deeper, some additional instruction, to really have it right. So if a person is genuinely interested in mantra and learning how to do it, then you can say, well, I'll give you Bob's email, talk to Bob. He'll find you a teacher. If they're just sort of playing a parlor game, it will, what's your mantra? Mm-hmm. There's a million mantras online. Just, they don't mean it.
Right.
It's like there's a million pills out there. Some of them have the ingredients that's going to be really good for, dealing with your situation. Some are just not, just because it's packaged it's called a medicine. So I always say that. And sometimes people say, well, TM is a nonprofit organization and there's a course fee that's asked based on a person's income. And the money goes to paying the teacher, and the money goes to also helping. For example, we teach women survivors of domestic violence to meditate. We work with frontline nurses in war-torn areas to meditate. So part of your course fee goes to help them. Sure. But, I say we teach TM for free to tons of people. It's not a money thing. It's just, are you serious?
Right.
And that's why.
Okay, makes sense. So let's talk about like physiologically what's happening to our brains and our bodies when we meditate. During the 20 minutes that you sit down to do a TM meditation, what is actually happening inside your brain and your nervous system?
So the first study that was conducted on TM was at Harvard Medical School and UCLA Medical School. It went from 1968 to 1970. And what they did is they looked at what's called oxygen consumption. Oxygen consumption is how much air you're breathing in. If you're running, if you're exercising or running, or you're nervous, but let's say you're running, you're taking a lot of deep breaths, you're bringing in a lot more oxygen. So you're not rested. Oxygen consumption is a measure of rest. When you go to sleep at night, then your oxygen consumption decreases because you're not active. So when they wanted to look at levels of rest gained during TM and compare it to sleep, they looked at oxygen consumption, and they found that it took about 5.5 to 6 hours of a good night's sleep for oxygen consumption. It's not easy to say that too quickly. Oxygen consumption.
It's a hard one.
Oxygen
I'm not going to try.
Say it backwards.
Yeah.
Oxygen consumption to drop about 8%, 5.5 or 6 hours of sleep. Oxygen consumption dropped 16%, twice as much in 20 minutes of TM.
Wow.
That was that ended up on cover of Scientific American, Science Magazine. It opened the doors to research on transcendental meditation. Subsequent research, the National Institutes of Health have provided almost $30 million for research on the effects of TM on heart disease, high blood pressure. If you're in your 30s and 40s, you think, well, I don't have high blood pressure. But that's the age where you start seeding high blood pressure that can show up in your 50s and 60s. And so what the research showed, that transcendental meditation was, in many regards, far more effective than antihypertensive medication for reducing high blood pressure. And the American Medical Association just a few months ago came out and said that they were looking at all the different lifestyle changes a person could take in order to prevent heart disease. And they looked at diet and exercise, and they looked at meditation. And I didn't even know they were going to do this. And they looked at all the data, and they said that only transcendental meditation was shown to reduce high blood pressure. That was a significant thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought, well, you just meditate, anything you do. Other research showed significant, it's called trait anxiety. Trait anxiety, it becomes part of your personality. You're anxious a lot. Your husband, I think you said, yeah.
He is.
So it's a trait
study.
anxiety, and they found
Yes.
that TM was twice as effective for reducing trait anxiety than any other form of meditation.
Wow.
There was a study that was done during COVID. We provided scholarships for doctors and nurses in 100 hospitals to learn TM for free. And they did a study in Miami to the nurses and doctors in the emergency rooms. And that was just a hell. That was a war zone. And they found that within 2 weeks, there was statistically significant reductions in depression, which, if you know antidepressant medication, it can take months.
Yes.
So that's just a tip
Yeah.
of the iceberg.
You've talked about stress, which, listen, all of us
We all have it. We all have it.
all have it. We can't, it's inescapable. I walk out of my home into the world and feel the stress of the world, even if nothing particularly has stressed me out. And you've talked about stress leading to elevated cortisol, poor sleep, immune changes, and inflammation. Can you walk us through that chain reaction? Because I know, especially for people like myself and people with chronic illness and autoimmune disease, like everybody's trying to focus on inflammation and thinking that that's the cause.
No, it's such an interesting thing. It wasn't until about 10 years ago that scientists acknowledged that stress was a risk factor for high blood pressure.
Right.
You think, what do you mean? If you're tense? So the idea of a mind-body connection wasn't really recognized for a long time. And now there's a whole field of study, you may know it, PNEI, which is psyche, neuro, endocrine, immunological. So that psyche means your mind. Neuro means what it does to your brain. What it does to your brain, like if you trigger your fight or flight response, then what happens? Or your amygdala gets fired up. It triggers your adrenal glands. Now you're pumping out cortisol. So that cortisol, that's your endocrine. And what does cortisol do? Undermines the immune system. Undermines the immune system. So now you've got one continuum from an experience. You see something that's upsetting. It affects your brain, triggers your endocrine system, triggers the immune system, and now your immune system is compromised. So that's the point there of stress, that it begins with that first experience, and it's not. There's no walls between those. Right. It's just one continuum. And so when you're looking at autoimmune, and then of course when you weaken the immune system, you're talking about inflammation,
right?
The whole thing. And actually, Jamie, I just read something that they said that between 75 and 90% of all illnesses, autoimmune, bipolar, gastrointestinal, cancer, chronic stress. Now, stress is, people say you can't get rid of, you said you step outside your door, you can't get rid of stress. Chronic stress, that's the danger. That's the residue, the sludge that builds up day after day after day. And when you take an anti-anxiety medication, you can reduce the symptoms. You're not doing anything to the sludge. What TM does, by giving the body this profound rest, it helps dissipate that sludge, that chronic stress. So we become healthier in all ways, not just one way.
I love that so much in particular because I think for many people like me that live with a chronic illness, I'm constantly
What is your chronic?
I live with MS.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And I've had it for 25 years.
Yeah. I have to check your meditation. I want to get you back doing it.
Thank you. And I do too.
Huge help. Huge. I have to interrupt. Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
So many people with MS and TM help so much. It doesn't take like weeks, months. It helps so much.
Oh, that brings me to tears, because I feel so much of my time is spent trying to fix my body or even repair my relationship with it and find more peace and harmony between my brain and my body. So the thought of what you were just talking about, of almost getting out of the way and allowing my whole system to feel this state of peace and maybe possibly naturally have some healing, allowing my body to do its own work. I almost feel like I'm getting in the way of it sometimes.
Now, you've heard me talk. I sound like a rational science. This will help you a ton. I wouldn't be saying this. I wouldn't be so strong. I'm not just throwing around claims. A ton. And anybody who has autoimmune disorder, any of these things, if you can calm the sympathetic nervous system, if you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve, which is the cranial nerve that runs your lungs, respiration and heart and digestion, and when that gets out of whack, the whole thing is out of whack. TM calms the vagus nerve. So it calms the amygdala, which is fight or flight. In one thing, I'll just say this, then you can ask another question. No, I feel like I've just been rambling on
here. This is your time to educate us all. Ramble on.
It's a simple thing. If you have a tree and the tree you look at it and you say, oh, that branches and leaves, they're sort of weak there and they're brittle there and the fruit over there. And you run over here and you say, okay, I have to take care of these leaves. Then I have to take care of those. And then those leaves are okay, but then those leaves and branches. Well, if you could water the root, the whole tree is strengthened. The whole tree is made more vibrant, more resilient. So by accessing this inner field of quiet, the ancients called it pure consciousness. I just call it restful alertness or your own innermost self. But accessing that, reducing and dissipating some of that chronic stress, in one simple stroke. Now, that's not saying you don't need medication, you don't need to do,
Of course.
but they start to work so much more effectively, profoundly, and you let your doctor know that you're going to be doing this, because in a few months you may not, if you're on medication, you may not need as much medication.
Can meditation also actually help someone's relationship to uncertainty, whether that's with a disease or whatever life?
You're asking such, I just have to say, you're asking such beautiful questions.
Oh, thank you.
Really, just,
well, I'm genuinely curious and just know that you'll have an answer.
And the answer to that is, first of all, the brain hates uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
The brain evolved to keep us alive.
Right.
And so does not want to not know what's around the corner. And as a matter of fact, as you know, sometimes if we know what's going to happen, it's much better than not knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
That uncertainty. And so in a simple analogy, I like to say, again, life is that ocean where you have the choppy waves on the surface. And too often we live on that surface. We're like a little boat tossed around by all these waves, ups and downs and ups and downs. And I found meditation to be like dropping an anchor.
Oh, yeah.
Accessing, because, there's that term. I need some inner strength. I need some inner calm.
Right.
I need that word inner has been around forever. And so I need that inner. And so TM, you could just see it as just that anchoring to your life goes on. Life goes on. But I have access to an inner steadfast strength. And that makes all the difference in the world. I will say one. I said I was going to stop, but I lied.
Don't stop. Don't stop, Bob.
I taught, this is a name droppy, but he's public about it. I taught Michael J. Fox to meditate 10 years ago. And he's had Parkinson's for 30 years. And when I taught him, it had been for 15 or 20 years. And it was strong. And I said, meditation may or may not help you with the tremors because they don't really know what Parkinson's is. It could be a dopamine imbalance or something.
Right.
And he said, I'm not looking for that. He said, I'm so afraid of my future. I'm so uncertain of my future. Particularly, he said, I'm afraid of my relationship with my daughters 10 years from now. And he said, that's such a waste because I'm here now and my daughters are here now and I want to live and enjoy them fully now. And that's the one thing that he told me after he'd been meditating one thing he said, whenever he meditated, his tremors stopped, but then they started to come back on afterwards, which I'm not surprised.
Right.
But I saw him just recently and he said he doesn't miss the meditation. And that biggest thing for him is that reduction in anxiety and that inner calm and access to that, because it's always there, Jamie. That quiet is there.
Yeah.
It's not something we have to believe in.
Yeah.
And you have now a pipeline to that, access to that. And so even in the midst of all the challenges, you have that inner strength, inner calm.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really beautiful. And I think anyone could relate in any way to that, and was really powerful. So thank you. For the skeptics out there, because they know there will be, right? Some people might be listening and thinking, I've tried meditation, my brain never shuts up. Or if someone says, I spent the entire 20 minutes thinking, did I fail? What would you say to them?
Well, if they're doing transcendental meditation, I would say you should, I'm going to give my email number right now. It is my personal email number. Anybody could email me and I will find a TM teacher in their area.
How amazing.
And it's free and you can get that. You can have your meditation refreshed. Also, if you're interested in you can go to tm.org to find a center near you. But if you have any questions, you and Allison are such wonderful people. So this is my real live personal. Allison emails me on this. It is bob@davidlynchfoundation.org. bob@davidlynchfoundation.org. email me, and I will either answer your question or help you find someone who can guide you on the meditation path.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And yes, anyone, just try it. What have you got to lose?
Bingo. They're not all the same. This is what I always say to someone. I like basketball. There's a term in basketball, no harm, no foul. It's like, what is there to lose here? You don't have to believe in it. It's easy to do. The results are demonstrable. Why not? Give it a try. It's a short life. Give it a try.
Not to get too personal, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to, or I don't want to violate anyone's privacy.
I'm going to clam up.
You've already shared that beautiful story about Michael J. Fox, so maybe that was the one. But is there someone that you have taught in your tenure of being this, guiding light for so many into TM, whose transformation still stays with you?
So many are flooding into my mind.
I'm sure.
No, let me just...
Take your time. Take your time.
There is a really... the woman, this is to the extreme, most people don't have this experience, but in Chicago, we were doing a program through the University of Chicago Crime Lab, which was to teach, it was a study to see if TM would help prevent teenagers in the highest crime public schools. If they learned to meditate, would there be a reduction in arrests for violent crime? Because if a kid gets arrested for violent crime, it is basically a school or home to prison pipeline. Their life is over, the family's life is destroyed. So they wanted to see if there would be any reduction. So we taught 2,000 kids to meditate. Study we're waiting for it to be published. I can't say the schools now, but I can just tell you this. What they found was, now if they do an intervention, it's called an intervention to prevent arrest for violent crime. What they found was, if in the past they did an intervention that could reduce arrests by 5 or 10%, they were happy. Those lives got saved. In this project, 70% reduction in arrests for violent crime. 70%. And there was this one mother, I mentioned this in passing, but who had lost her son to gun violence. Mm-hmm. And she was just, think about it.
Yeah.
And meditation, I remember her. Can I tell you one more story?
Tell them all.
So I stayed friends with her, and it doesn't, there's post-traumatic stress disorder. Mm-hmm. That's a term, we've heard of that. But there's another term called post-traumatic growth. And some people take a traumatic experience and grow from it, become a better person. They have the line, if it doesn't, that which doesn't kill you makes you better, so stronger. So what post-traumatic growth says is you don't forget. The memory is still there of what happened, but the trauma on your body has been eased. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes.
And that's that thing that these experiences. And so this woman, Carolyn, had a trauma from that. The body healed that. She still remembers, but her life is now, she's able to live her life. And that I'll never forget.
It's beautiful. Post-traumatic growth. I love
PTG. You can look it up.
I love when there's also just a positive thing that we, a positive effect that we can talk about from these things. So thank you for that. I'm so glad you shared. All right, before we let you go, I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions. Doesn't mean you have to answer them quickly. They're simple questions.
Yes, no, spaghetti, blue, and Willie Mays.
Okay, I've got a few more beyond that.
Okay.
When do people usually notice their first change from a meditation practice?
It varies because I have to use another analogy. If you have not watered a lawn for a long time and you start watering the lawn, it can take a little bit more time for the water table to rise and the grass to turn green than if there's been a rainstorm or something recently. So if a person has not been taking care of themselves, but I'd say within a week or two, in any case, yeah.
You're probably not going to like this question because I know you
I'm going to
subscribe it
love it.
twice a day,
I'm
but
going to love it.
morning or evening meditation if someone says that they could only do one.
Hate that question.
I know you would.
I would say morning.
Okay.
Because, no, you know what I would say? Actually, whenever you can do it.
There we go. I like that.
Just whenever you can do it.
Is coffee before meditation okay?
I would ask you, unless you can't get out of bed without a double espresso, that do the meditation after coffee, just because do the meditation before coffee.
Right.
Just because caffeine raises your metabolic rate and meditation wants to reduce it. So,
right.
But if a person says, "Oh, I could," then I say, "Well, have a couple sips."
Right.
But so it's just
for that reason. You want to set up for success, right?
Yeah.
Can you meditate when you're anxious?
Sure. You don't have to be calm in order to calm yourself.
Great. That's important. Yes.
Yeah, you can be as anxious as you want and still meditate.
You mentioned this before, how kids can learn. How do we start with kids? Just a couple of minutes?
From the age of about 5 to 10 or 11, kids, they get a mantra, but they don't sit with their eyes closed to meditate. It's called a word of wisdom. And for about 5 minutes, they get a teacher who teaches them how to do it. To learn TM for the sitting technique takes about an hour and 15 minutes over 4 consecutive days. To teach a child, it's like 45 minutes the first day and 15 minutes the second day. And they get a mantra, and then the teacher teaches them how to use it. They can do it while they're drawing. The mom or dad can take them out for a walk for 5 minutes, and they can just be thinking it. It has a lovely resonant quality to the nervous system, because the nervous systems get so, like we can say our emotions get dysregulated. Well, we know that means our nervous system is dysregulated, and the meditation helps bring restores a natural flow to the nervous system.
Yeah, I love that. I really want to give this gift to my boys for sure. My last rapid fire question: can you overdo it with meditation?
Sure, you can overdo it eating healthy. You can overdo drinking water. You can overdo, staying in bed. It's hard to, because when you're done meditating for 20 minutes, you want to get up and do stuff. It's not just a passive thing. It gives you the energy to do stuff. I don't really see anybody who overdoes it, but anything good, running is good, exercise is good, loving someone is good, too much, so it's an imbalance. The nice thing about TM is that it restores balance. So that's why I hardly ever hear of people can run too much. They could become too much of a vegan or take too many cold baths.
Right.
But because it doesn't necessarily regulate necessarily. TM is such a nice regulator that you don't even want to do that. Love
it. Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap this up and give you your day back. Thank you so much, Bob. Our audience here is made up of people living with something that they didn't choose. Some right now are in the middle of the hardest chapters of their life. Some are exhausted. Some feel like their body has betrayed them. Some have even forgotten what peace even feels like. What would you want every one of these people to know?
Learn to meditate. Try it. And then I hope this doesn't sound flippant or too superficial, but there's a beautiful quote that I heard a wise person once said: see the job, do the job, stay out of the misery. See the job, do the job, stay out of the misery. There's certain things that are overwhelming, but the things that we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. We don't have to go, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I do.
I'll say it again. See the job, do the job, stay out of the misery.
Beautiful. Well, after 50 years of helping people find stillness, Bob, if you could look back at younger Bob right now, what would you tell him about his future and his life?
Whoa, never saw that one coming.
It's how we always end this podcast with our guests.
No. I'm saying that's what the younger Bob would say to the older Bob.
Oh,
I was just when I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. Then I worked for Bobby Kennedy when I was in high school, senior. Wow. I wanted to be the next U.S. Senator. Then I was going to, this was in first year in college. I thought, okay, my mom was a school teacher. My dad was a doctor. My mom was a school teacher. I'd like to develop educational curriculum that could help kids. And now I'm doing something that all three things, I'm in healthcare like my dad, it's educational, and I wanted to go into politics because I wanted public policy. I wanted something that everyone could benefit from. And so right now our focus with the David Lynch Foundation is, and we're getting close, is insurance coverage for transcendental meditation.
Beautiful.
So everyone around anywhere in the country, no matter what, could learn to meditate. So I would say, if you ask me,
I love that.
Whoa, really, Bob? But well, I'll end it with Søren Kierkegaard, who's a great Danish philosopher, said basically, life can only be understood looking backwards, but it has to be lived going forwards.
Mm-hmm.
So we live it going, we don't really understand it. So when we're all in the middle of it, like who knows, from this conversation, maybe we check your meditation and then that happens or something. One never knows.
Yes. Yes. That's the beauty of life.
It is.
That's why you keep moving forward, right?
And you're a wonderful person, Jamie. You're a wonderful interviewer and a wonderful person.
That means so much to me. Thank you so much, Bob. I enjoyed this more than I can say.